Evening, ladies and gents. How we doing? Evening, ladies and gents. How we doing? Evening, ladies and gents. Just getting myself sorted out here. Right. Just getting myself sorted out here. Don't know what's going on here. Right. Just getting myself sorted out here. Don't know what's going on here. All right. This is not an internet problem. This is a StreamYard problem. This is not an internet problem. This is a StreamYard problem. This is a StreamYard problem. Interesting. Haven't experienced that problem before. Anyhow. Interesting. Haven't experienced that problem before. We'll just carry on regardless. Interesting. Haven't experienced that problem before. We'll just carry on regardless. Fucking thing. We'll just carry on regardless. Lana King, g'day mate. Thanks for coming along. Thailand Unplugged. Thanks for coming along. Lana King. Thanks for that, Stephen. I think that helped a bit. Thanks, Stephen. That was there. Shane, g'day, mate. Thanks for coming along. Kangaroo, thanks, mate, for coming along. We've got a bit of an up and down type of a night. I've got a guest coming on tonight. I never thought I was going to get a guest on, but this bloke has got a little bit of experience on kind of what I'm talking about. What I'm doing is I always write out a script, and I've done a lot more. I've done a hell of a lot more research into it today. So that bit I'm going to leave to the latter. So you'll have to just excuse me a bit because remember I'm a technological genius, like hell I am. I've got a few photos and stuff like that set up. It'll just take me a little bit just to paddle around with a couple of these photos and that. So please excuse me for that. Remember, I'm kind of new at this kind of stuff, and on the weekends, Stephen's the man at the helm. On the weekends, on the Mondays, it's a knucklehead at the helm. So anyhow, we'll get there. We'll get there. I'd like to. I really do appreciate you blokes coming along. Oh mate, g'day. How you going, buddy? Thanks for coming along, Steve Eaton. Oh, I tell you what, you're a bloody terrific bloke, Steve. I haven't given you a bloody spanner. Hang on. Well, I'll just excuse me for a moment, folks. I've just got to give Steve his spanner. He's a very deserving spanner holder. Actually, Steve, I met in Bangkok. He's a hell of a nice bloke. If any of you people ever get the chance to meet up with Steve, I can honestly tell you, you'll have a good afternoon or whatever, and a terrific, genuine person. Right, now I'll get back on to where we were going, and where we're heading. So the first story, we'll leave that to a bit last, a bit latter, the latter part. As we know, in Thailand, and it's right up there with the droughts, and people are starting to suffer. There's 12 provinces, and even Thailand's rice bowl is affected. As you can see there by this group of officials, they're looking at dead rice crops because of no rain. And the other thing is, because of no rain, there's no water flow. This is a picture of a river that would normally at this time of the year be running a banker. It's terrible. It's terrible for the farmers in general. The wider spread part of it, it's a tradition in Thailand for the farmers to plant their rice, because it's food for themselves, and it's also an income. And without that rain, that's got a real flow-on effect. The farmers don't make any money. They borrow off the farmers' bank, so they end up, in debt, and they're spending. So that affects the larger community, even the little noodle shop down the road. The people haven't got those few baht extra to come along and spend that money. Coon Bar, g'day mate, thanks for coming. It's all about water. Let's face it, our bodies are made up of 80% water. So it's a big thing. There's been reports of something that I don't really like and never really wanted to mention, that there's a lot of the younger generation heading into the bigger cities, to some of the seediest aspects of the cities, so they can earn some money to send it home for the families. That's not a good feel. Coming off a farm, and we have droughts in Australia too, I understand exactly how they feel. One day you're walking around with a smile on your face, and the world's your oyster, and the next day you're on your knees, buddy, crying your guts out, saying, "What did I do wrong?" It's just the weather, and it is. It really ruins people. It brings them to their knees. Yes, the government is helping a little bit. The army is on standby with water trucks. Andy Stubbs, g'day mate, thanks for coming along. The army's on standby with water trucks, so that villages that their storage capacities have run out of water, they're going to go around and make sure people have got water to survive. That's a good thing. This comes a little bit personal to me. The other day, at our place, mother-in-law informed us that the water is now regulated. So the water is not on, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's periodic. And it brings me back to, I used to laugh about it. In the old Thai toilets, they always had the big tank thing with the water in it. Well, that's why. I got told off the first time I was there. I was sweating me ring out, and I said, "Oh, bloody bathtub," and jumped into that, and bloody near got a flogging for that, because that's also drinking water. Anyhow, and that really comes into play now, because there'd be 300 litres in that tank. That when you're only getting water for a few hours a day, and I suppose on the personal side, the orchard's going to suffer hard. I'm expecting losses out of it, because it'll probably be March, April next year before we, unless there's some rain does turn up. So a lot of those trees I put a lot of years into will perish, I suppose. That's part of life. That's a part of farming. That's part of growing anything. All right, we'll move along. Like I say, I'm a bit arse around because I'm saving story one, and I'm going to bring my guest on just after story one. That's a first. Johnny's bringing a guest on. I don't know how I managed to do it. Now, going back to May 5, 2014, up in an area of Mai Lao, it was hit by a 6.3 magnitude earthquake, which destroyed the local school. And with that, the Japanese, the Japanese consulate general, Hiroshi Matsuto, stood up and they built a classroom, 4 classrooms, basically earthquake proof. As we know, the Japanese have a lot of earthquakes, and their construction methods in those areas is very, very good. G'day, Niall. How you going, mate? Thanks for coming along. Yeah, so the Japanese stepped up and put 7.3 million baht into these 4 classrooms. It's a lot of money, but they're earthquake proof. And I think that's to bring their technology for earthquakes, where earthquakes are present, and spend that much money, deserving area. Because this building, the prior building that got virtually demolished within the earthquake, was a kind of a nursery primary school thing and a community hub. So now that's back up and running. Thank you to the Chinese Consulate General. I think that's actually a really wonderful thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a couple of the other bits, and that last story, I'll do that after I do this time. Good news on the dollar. Righto, the US dollar, 30.85. The English pound, 38.85. The euro, 34.60. The Aussie dollar, she's on the way back up, 21.75. Canadian, 23.80. And for you, Jürgen, your currency, it's gone down a little bit. It's 3.28 this week. Last week when I looked at it, it was 3.30. Anyhow, doesn't matter. Onwards and upwards. And for George, he'll catch up with the stream. The Scottish pound, 38.8. So, there's a little bit of happiness in that for all. So you're all interested in this week's crappy joke, aren't you? Yeah, I can tell. Everybody's interested in this week's crappy joke. Steve the Butcher. G'day, Steve. How you going, mate? You. Now that you've come on, Steve, we're just going to take a left-hand turn a little bit. Doing the hot hat modelling, but I dare say there's a person that should get on to you and have a talk to you about hats, because you had a head for a hat, that's for sure, mate. You were doing bloody well. That's one thing I don't do on this channel. I don't sell hats. I don't sell T-shirts. I don't sell condoms. Anyhow, enough of that. This week's crappy joke. Yeah, this is a little bit deep, this one. Little girl walks up to her mother and said, "Mummy, where did I come from?" The mother said, "Well, your father and I, we planted the seed. Your father got the earth and planted the seed. Every day I nurtured the seed, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And as the leaves got bigger and bigger, and we nurtured it more and more and more, then we pulled out the plant, we dried it, we had sex without condoms." That's how you ended up being here. Boom. Yeah, anyhow, what do you expect? I actually like that joke. Righto, now what we'll do, where's my special guest? Is he waiting in the wings? I can't see him. Just bear with me for a moment, because the first time you do it, you're going to stuff it up. Here's my first, my guest. My guest is here. I'm going to bring him on, and I'm going to talk about this, and of what I think, and it's not only a problem in one country, but many countries, I think, worldwide. So I'll bring my guest on. Welcome, Shane.
How you going, Johnny? And everyone?
I'm going to do this bit of a spruik first, mate, and then I'm going to put some questions to you. The Mekong Conservation Network spokesman, Mr. Somayat, said that China, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia must find a solution to the problems in the Mekong, as dams have been built mostly by China. Also, the International Rivers Campaign has said the dramatic drop in water levels have an ecological impact as drought, fish extinctions, and as of now, the Mekong is at its lowest in 100 years. Now, what I kind of say is, where is the United Nations on this? Where is all the world flexing those muscles? This is actually theft. It's actually affecting livelihoods. There will be people die over this. What comes to my mind was an old movie I watched. It was about the Second World War. It was called Busters. Maybe that's not the way to go, but each and every one of us can have an impact on that. As in, when you buy a product, lift it up, have a look at it, and if it says China on the bottom of it, put it back on the shelf and walk away. They won't need the electricity, they won't need everything like that if they're not manufacturing. And us, the consumers, can make that difference. Now, Shane, you live right on the Mekong. How's that affected you and the people around you?
Well, it hasn't affected me personally, but I can tell you today, for the first time in a long time, when I dropped the kid off, my son at school, I went via the Mekong just to have a look, and I hadn't done that for a month or two. And it's only like a kilometre, from here, and it's at one of its lowest points that I've ever seen it. it's still half empty. We've got at least 600-700 meters of just sand, and then there's a bit of a bit of water before Lao. And I've never seen it like that at this time of the year. Someone said, yeah, China is damming it, or Lao is putting a dam in, but plus there's been no rain either. This is nothing like last year. We were in floods last year this time of the year.
Yes, I can remember you posting videos this time last year, and up where we were walking around there with it on the kind of the foreshore, was what, a kilometre towards to the river.
Yeah.
And then it was all of a sudden up 50, 60 feet or more, and they had the pumps going.
Yep, I can still take the dirt bike now and ride out in the Mekong River when it normally would be up and running right now. Boom.
And around the fish, although there's a lot of farm fish, but you wouldn't see as many boats on the river, the local fishermen out in the river that there used to be this time of the year.
You see a couple when we used to drink at that Mekong pub where you've been, but they're only just small. I don't think they're I think they're just probably doing it for themselves. I think there's a lot of people that do fish farms that are probably selling it for the local market. I don't know how it's affecting them though. We've still got plenty of water like Lana. We're mainly rubber. We do have palm, but we just let it grow naturally. They're via a lake, all our palms. So we don't really use a lot of water, but we've got lots of water anyway if we need it.
Yeah, the rice farmers will be doing it.
Yeah,
doing it
we don't do rice, but the rice farmers they'll be hurting. It's dry as a bone.
And you've seen it before, where situations have changed, markets have changed, and it's really totally changed people's lives.
Oh, I think we're going to see some. Yeah, it's going to be interesting the next couple of months to see what's going to happen here with with no rain. This is the first time I've ever seen it like this in 9 years.
Well, you can remember when we're talking about the drop in the rubber prices, how that affected people's lives.
Oh, yeah. Well, even when the rice a couple of years ago, when the government wasn't paying, they don't talk about it. There was people killing themselves. They couldn't. People couldn't feed themselves, and they weren't getting paid. This sort of stuff you don't see on the TV. They don't talk about this.
No, that's right. I try and keep this channel to the positive, but this one really it really stuck in my bloody throat, mate. These fucking Chinese, I'm going to say it, fucking Chinese, don't give a shit about anybody else. No one else downstream. They don't give a shit about maintaining a flow or anything. It's all about them because it runs through the country. Well, I kind of say to the world, the whole friggin' world, the United Nations, they want to stand up and tell countries to take friggin' refugees and God knows what and dictate. Well, how come they're not standing into that? This comes along the same lines of them putting those bullshit islands they've got and carrying on in the South China Sea. If they want to do a takeover, well, bring it on. To me, Shane, it's just bullshit. They don't give a shit about anybody else. So that's why I say, people, vote with your dollar.
Yeah,
because that's the way to absolutely. Bombing's not the answer. Yeah. Vote with your dollar. Don't buy anything made in China. Yeah. Then they've got no bloody plants, have they?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard the dam, but I mean, there's been no rain either. So,
look, like the thing is, for rain, it's got to pick up water from somewhere. Yeah. And when you have a small amount of your water is less, and you're depleting, a depleting water source, you're not going to get as much picked up into the atmosphere to form rain.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of it as well. And for bordering countries, what we've got, all right, starts starts up in the Himalayas, comes through China. You've got Myanmar. Myanmar touches on the river. Thailand for a bloody 1,300 kilometres on one side of the river. Then you've got Laos, Cambodia, and it goes into Vietnam and out to the Andaman Sea via the Mekong Delta.
Yep.
And that Mekong Delta in Vietnam is a very, very rich because it carries all the silt, and that's where it ends up. So it's a very, very rich soil. You have the floating vegetable crops and stuff like that. That's very, very high production area in Vietnam. I dare say that may have pulled back a little bit with the water flows depleting.
I was talking to a couple of. I had a couple of Germans that I seen the other day. They did a couple of day boat tour somewhere in Laos. Must have been up further in Laos where there must have been still a lot of water. But it's done a boat trip, so yeah, it's going to affect a lot. Even the tour companies that work on the Mekong River.
Yeah, there is. From memory, there is a company that operates. I think it's Chiang Rai. I think they operate out of Chiang Rai. They do the. I think it's a 5 day and night trip. You get on the boat and you go through into Laos and come back out again. If there's no water to float your boat, it's the ramifications of the whole lot of is very, very large on and it's not just Thailand. It's all the surrounding country: Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And those the flow on effects of the whole lot of it. If you can't produce an income, so you're not getting an income yourself, you're not going to spend. So it goes back to your little mum and pup shop. It's the whole bloody thing, and it's a very, very sad state of affairs.
Yeah. I wonder how the around September, October, all along Bungan, Nong Khai, in Isan area, they have the longboat racing. Where they have about the 50 people.
Yeah, the dragon boat race. Yeah.
They have that right up on the say in Bungan or Nong Khai, they have it on the foreshore right next to the whatever the country is. Now that water is still 600 meters away at the moment. It's just sand and grass. And this is a really big festival. I'd be amazed if this is going to happen now. If the Mekong rise this much between now and then.
And you've got I can't remember the name of the other river that runs down through Adrian. You might be able to help us out. The other river that runs down through Surin and down through there. I've forgotten the name of it. They do another festival there. I think the King and the Queen. It used to be the King and the Queen's boat.
Ping River?
Yeah, Ping. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Niall said Ping. Thanks, Niall. Yeah, thanks, Adrian. I can remember. I'd seen some of those boat races, and I used to. Many a time back in the early stages when I stayed in Bangkok, I'd sit down for hours watching the King and the Queen's, boats practicing and things like that, which it was good to see. You were sitting back having a beer and it's semi-air conditioned, and you're not the poor bastard out there and 36, 38 degree heat rowing. But yeah, if there's float your boat, isn't it?
That's it.
But yeah, I can see a lot a lot of problems out of it. Adrian's just said, yeah, the ping at Chiang Mai only had 1.2 metres, and yeah, the water flow's a big thing. I haven't really got onto. I probably should have, but I was going to get onto Google Maps and trace some of the rivers back to the sources. But I dare say the ping had probably come back into a tributary somewhere, going back up the body near China, and that's where the problems are starting from. In Australia we had the El. I don't remember which one it was, but it was the El Nino or whatever it was. One said we had bugger all rain, and that was right, and the other one said we were going to get a hell of a lot of rain, and that didn't really happen. We got a bit of rain, but for me on the farm, that was some pretty hard times. Although I had plenty of fodder, and I fed my cattle through, and as I kind of siphoned off a few cattle, I had some very, very good quality cattle with a good fat coverage on them and stuff like that. But there was a bit of planning in that. That my father had always taught me, that hay and all that kind of stuff in the shed's better than money in the bank, and he was actually right for those kind of times. But with rice growers being smaller holdings, but with that drought relief thing that the government actually got into, there's millions of rye in those 12 provinces that the government will be giving, and it's not a lot of money. It's probably enough to cover their costs if they planted. If they haven't planted and they're registered with the as a farmer, and that's the other thing, you've got to be registered as a farmer. You will get some money, which is better than nothing. So you'd be able to sustain yourself for a little while, but. Good on them for having the army stand by for bringing water into the areas that haven't got any. And on that, Phuket's in serious problem with water. Also, their storage levels are just about stuffed. They're trucking in water. It's a pretty sad state of affairs.
With the government, when they do that subsidised thing that you're talking about, it doesn't matter if you've got 20 rye, 5 rye, 10, 20 or 200, they're probably only going to subsidise you for about 15 rye. And then that's it. They cut everyone off at a certain level. So if the farmer that's probably got 30 rye of rice, he can only claim whatever they're going to pay out. They don't pay out what you've got.
I remember when we lost our rice crop because of, one rice crop because of rats. The infestation of rats was up where Toon and Lee are, which is the next province up, and they didn't class our province, the Nakunsa One area, as having a rat plague. We lost 40 rye of rice because of these bloody rats, but set up an electric fence and zapped them all, and actually, at the end of the day, the good bit come out of it. We made more out of selling bloody rats than we did out of the friggin' rice. So we're sometimes there's a bit of sunshine on the other side of it, but it was just lucky it worked out that way. But the government they did their cut off, and at that time. Just prior, we were going the third crop. I was being the typical know-it-all Farang, saying we've got water, the ground's still there, the weather's right, we'll grow rice. There's nothing wrong with that. Perfect. 1 part sunshine, 2 parts water, 3 parts prayer, and you've got a good crop. And we had the only green crop for I reckon 100 mile around. And wow. There, where did the rats come? And at the same time, all the vegetation along the rivers and all the creeks and that, they were doing the cleanup. So the rats had nowhere to hide. So it was just like a beeline. Yeah, we're going to Johnny's place. The free food. Yeah, very interesting. But not everybody that goes to Thailand, wants to get into the rural kind of things. People like bright lights, big cities. Yeah, they were right. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but every now and again it's good to go and cut loose.
Yeah. No, it'd be interesting to see what happened. Time will tell, and we'll see what's going to happen since we had no rain with these rice farmers. It's not going to be good, for sure.
But it's going to affect everybody that's growing. I mean, there was even a report today, and actually it was Adrian's area. There was a bit of a news report in Lampang about there's apparently some very, very big like duck farmers, and without the water and all that, it comes into water and feed, and so they're going to be culling pretty quick. So the whole part of it, the whole flow on from any of this is, and if you're a duck farmer and you kill off, 70% of your birds, it's going to take you a long time to get it back to a table bird again. It's going to take you a year or so, or a couple of years to even get it back if and when you can afford to feed them again.
Well, it may have a big problem with the rubber yet. I've just never seen it this dry before. I mean, this is the only time of the years that the rubber trees get water. So this is going to be new for me this year to see.
That's right. No water, no sap. The sap flow will shut down.
Last year it was a 1 in a 10 year. Every 10 years the Mekong seems to flood and overflows, and that was last year. And it was also the year before I permanently lived here. I seen it when I was coming, to and from.
Mm.
Now all the trees were getting like a mold and a disease, and they had to be treated because they had too much rain. So this year is going to be interesting to see how it's going to affect with no rain now.
Well, it's something where I think we're between us, we'll keep an eye on it, because you're a man on the ground there. Because you're hey mate, you're living the dream. No, it's something, and once again I'd read to people, if you're buying products, have a look at the label on it and vote with, because if there's no factories, they don't need all this kind of crap. And world wars and on all that kind of stuff are not the answer. Realistically, half the world wars have been based upon dollars and cents anyway. So if you vote with your dollars and cents, that's how you make a real difference, and that's how you really win. But anyhow, Shana, I'd like to thank you for coming along tonight and your bit of input into it. I'm going to close off the stream unless we've got a couple of questions or anything. Each and every one of you that come along and give us some support, I really appreciate it and I thank you. But just before we go, I threw a dart at the calendar for the Melbourne meetup. As you know, it started long ago when I kind of said we had a Sydney meetup, and threw that around, and that all got organised and stuff like that. That's this weekend coming. The Bangkok one, we did that. So this one, I'm kind of on top of it. So the Melbourne Meetup, the taxi bar and restaurant opposite Flinders Street Railway Station. It's actually Federation Square, starting at 1 o'clock, 1300. I will be there earlier, just sampling the beer and making sure everything's right for the other YouTubers and subscribers that are coming along. So we've got, at this early stage of it, we've got some travelling in from Queensland, New South Wales, and our old mates coming over from Tassie. So that's really, really good. So the Victorian blokes in the Taswegian, which is really a Victorian anyway, we'll all be there. And, you just come along, have a bit of a drink and a laugh and hear a few stories. Mind you, storytelling, the truth doesn't get in the way of a good story. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It should be a good day. Now, the reason I put it at an earlier time, so anybody that was kind of travelling down, if they wanted to, they could, jump on a plane, later on that night and go back to their own abode, and things like that. So, come along. Now, I've got my email address up there, and I don't know, I didn't do it. I've also got half of you know me on Facebook anyway, just to get a bit of an idea on numbers, and I can let that little place know. I've got no affiliation with them except for it's a place I found where food, I haven't tasted it. Beer's good. You can go outside and have a smoke. They've got little heaters out there. If that's right, you've got two vistas to look at. You can look at the Yarra River from one side, or Federation Square looking back to the Flinders Street, Swanson Street corner. So there's a couple of areas there. It's staff are pretty friendly, and that's why I kind of said that'd be a ripper good place, because it's walking distance. For people that fly in, they probably get the Sky Bus in. And remember, folks, when you're getting the Sky Bus, get your tickets both ways, because it's actually cheaper to buy a two-way ticket on the Sky Bus than the single ticket. The Sky Bus comes into what they call Spencer Street or Southern Cross Railway Station. Now it's a short walk, and it's not a hard walk. To get on a train in Victoria, you've got to have one of these stupid bloody cards and stuff like that. But as we get closer, I'll put up maps, and I'll give you how to walk there, step by step, type of thing. You'll be coming out from the Sky Bus. You'll be coming out of there, turn right, go across the road, walk up the hill, 3 streets, turn right, that kind of thing. We'll do that. So yeah, if you can do it, fellas, get yourself along, give us a yell, and we'll get some numbers happening on that one. We've before we put it up in the conception mode, we've already got some bloody good interest. So hope we can see you there on that date. I'll put that up now. I've got to hide it. Yeah. So once again, Shane, thanks for coming along and your input. I appreciate that. And to everybody else, thank you for coming along, and I'll catch you next week. But there's a bit of a change next week. Instead of coming on at 7, because we've got a few different viewers from different countries. I'm trying to find an in between line on the streams, and so next week, instead of 4 o'clock Thai time, which is 7 o'clock Australian, I'm going to go for 9 o'clock Australian time, which is, what's that? 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock Thai time. We're just going to run with that, and hopefully it might. G'day, Dom. Sorry, mate, I missed you. I'm a prick. Oh, sorry, Dom. I was too busy yapping. Thanks for coming along, mate. Yeah, so I'm going to try it over a few weeks at 9 o'clock Australian, 6 o'clock Thai time, and see if that's a little bit more suitable for a few of the others that always send me messages saying, "Oh, shit, sorry, Johnny, we missed out," and stuff like that. But hopefully, with input and a bit of trial and error and things like that, we can find that sweet spot where it kind of suits everybody without a lot of drama. So what I'll say is, good night, everybody. Thanks for coming, and I appreciate your support. Johnny out. Bye.